Welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. This may end up being a multi-part 5 where I'm kind of talking about the same thing across a couple of 5s, but I've been, as probably most people who pay any attention to the news, you've probably seen an article or two, even if you don't follow technology necessarily, but you've probably seen something mentioning that the newest social media platform, Meta's Threads, has picked up a lot of traction with something like 100 million plus people installing it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that people are actively using it, but certainly it has conveyed a lot of interest and people are installing it. And that, at the very least, there's something there. When Twitter was beginning to have its problems, after Musk bought it and there were a lot of problems popping up with the platform, there were a number of pundits and commentators that were saying things along the lines of, well, social media is over with. Nobody wants it anymore anyway. So Twitter's destruction is just kind of the period on the end of the sentence to the decline of social media. It's clear that people just don't care and they're going to end up leaving it and just, learning to live without it. Well, obviously, that wasn't really the case because Mastodon at first benefited from Twitter's problems, then Blue Sky, now Threads. And if you put all of that together, what it clearly means, and Discord has been going all along. I mean, Discord really surged during the pandemic, and honestly, I have not seen a lot of, if any, real decline in that overall in terms of my user experience. I don't see I don't have a lot of Discords that I'm active in that have suddenly gone dead or that aren't being actively used. So Discord has been surfing this wave for a while. You can go back and forth on whether Discord is really a social media platform. I would argue it is, but whatever. It's some kind of hybrid social media / billboard / messaging platform, which is maybe why it's been doing okay, because it isn't one particular thing. But in any event, all of these other services that have come up, and then there's been some other ones too, like Post.app or something. There's a bunch. And each of them has seen a surge of signups and different communities going to them. There's Spill. There's is Rumble one of those now? I don't know how new some of these are, but I know that some of them are new, some aren't. But in any event, it clearly demonstrates, if nothing else, that there still is an appetite for people to engage in a Twitter-like way. Because most of these services, the reason people are going to them is because they want to recreate the Twitter experience in terms of having a highly up-to-the-minute feed, being able to broadcast short messages, and have something that many people would call, I mean, Reddit even is having its problems, and I don't know if there's going to be a replacement for that. Reddit, I'm not sure where people go from that, but that certainly looks like it's in a lot of trouble too. And that will feed into maybe another 5 on why some of these services are having these problems and how they were somewhat inevitable. But no matter what, all these different services and all the fact that each of them has seen some type of mini surge or macro surge would certainly indicate that there is still an appetite for social media in general. And that's kind of funny because, like I said, there was maybe it was a month or so period where when some of these, Mastodon's been around for a while, so that one is not new. But before Threads, before Blue Sky, and certainly with the flood of new people going to Mastodon and the complaints about its complexity, which are somewhat overblown. I understand why some people struggle with Mastodon. There is a bit of I wouldn't say there's a bit of maybe complexity is the wrong word. There's a bit of a learning curve to it when you first start out, just to understand because I don't think what most people don't know is they don't know what federation is. I don't think it's really Mastodon itself. It's just that most people aren't familiar with federation. But still, even so, there was an influx of people to that. Again, Blue Sky, Spill, all these other ones, and a couple that I know that I never got involved with but were around the same time and are still going in some fashion, I think. It definitely demonstrates that people do want something. Not necessarily Twitter 2.0. Blue Sky is probably the closest to just trying to recreate Twitter in a different format. But there are other approaches. There are other avenues for that. But it does show that people, at least right now, maybe this will fade again. Maybe once they get used to these platforms, they'll realize that maybe they didn't need it. But I think all the hyperbole and the people saying, that's it, that's the end of social media, now that Twitter's dead and nobody trusts Facebook, it's all over with, nobody cares anymore, social media is dead. Well, obviously it isn't completely dead. It may be in a different format or it may change in terms of how people relate to it. But even people who said, okay, yeah, I don't need social media anymore, most of them have moved to something else. So I think that appetite is still there. What it will look like, well, that's still in flux, but it hasn't gone away. Later.